We are live with another Ask Lee video Q&A for Friday, September the 5th. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in, and hopefully this is coming through loud and clear and you can hear me and see me okay on your end. As you're popping onto our live stream here today, please do me a favor and just let me know if this is coming through loud and clear on your end. If you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, just getting some stuff sorted out on my end here. And the way these video chats work, if you're a regular, you know how they work, right? I'm going to be hanging out here answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to health and fitness, training, nutrition, any specific challenges you may be going through when it comes to building muscle, losing fat, and getting in your best shape. You can type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window, and I'll do the best I can to help you out over the course of our video chats. Awesome. And we got Lee joining in saying it is coming through loud and clear. You know what? I appreciate that. And for those of you who are regulars to the chat, you know, Lee is a regular, participates on this pretty much every week. There's not too many weeks he misses out, right? So I appreciate that. So we also have the Buff Canuck joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in as well. Awesome. Regular to the chats. We've got Wellesley joining in. What's happening from over in the UK? Awesome. Glad to have you joining in. I'm doing well. Saying I'm liking the new features. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Cool stuff. Just curious, what new features specifically are you liking there? All right. Let us know. All right. So guys, again, if you're just joining in, I want to welcome you to our Q&A here today. This is something that I do pretty much every Friday. We go live at 5 p.m. Eastern time with a Q&A over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page, as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So we're streaming simultaneously from both platforms. So wherever you're tuning in from, whether it is on the Facebook page or if you're tuning in through YouTube, you can type your questions and topics of discussion into the chat window there or in the comment section below, and I'll do the best I can to help you out over the course of our video chats. All right, so again, just want to see who is joining in. And as you're popping onto the live stream here today, let me know where you are tuning in from. I know we got some guys over on the UK side, the other side of the pond, joining in. Glad to have you joining in. I know it's getting a bit late over there, but shows the commitment, right? You're showing up regardless, and I respect that. Okay, so let's just see here. We've got a deal joining in as well. Good stuff. Got some questions coming through there. Awesome. And we can't make any promises here now, but we may have a special guest joining us today. And if that's the case, that would be awesome. But in the meantime, let's just jump into some Q&A here. We have Adil's got a question. It says, are there any protein sources you avoid, like pork, dairy, seafood, or do you eat a wide variety? And you know what? That's a great question. And I want to kind of unpack that, because when it comes to nutrition, some people are very limited with their choices, and some people like to have a lot of variety with their choices. And there's pros and cons to both approaches. Having a limited food choice can take the complexity out of nutrition, and it keeps things very simple and very easy to follow. The only downside is it gets a bit monotonous. Geez, I'm getting tongue-tied there. Monotonous if you're eating the same stuff over and over and over again. Personally, I like to have a lot of variety in my food, but we're creatures of habit, and I do eat a lot of the same stuff over and over, but I will have variety built in. So I'll give you an example. Like when it comes to the protein sources, I will eat pork. It's not a daily staple, but I will have it. I probably have it maybe once a week. Dairy products, I have those regularly, like fat-free Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. Those are staples in my eating, and I have those pretty much daily. Seafood, again, it's not a daily staple, but I'll probably have it a couple times a week. Red meat, it's not a daily staple, but I will have it a couple times a week, like things like beef. I'll have that a couple times a week. When it comes to other sources of protein, like chicken is my default go-to. All right, so I'll have that pretty much daily because it's very easy and simple to eat. Actually, just a second, guys. We have a guest joining us here. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, I'm late to the party.
Oh, you're
How's it going?
you're right on time.
Oh,
Right?
good,
We're
awesome.
just
Wow,
getting
everybody
started. We're
always
just getting
late.
things kicked off here, man. That's awesome. Just getting kicked off here.
Right on, man. Well, I'm glad we could. I'm glad I could make it. And nice
Yeah,
shirt.
I was just going to say this is the Red T-shirt club.
That's right, man.
I just missed. That's all I need. I need to get me a hat, and I don't have one handy. But anyway,
Yeah, I go get my reader glasses on. Hold up.
yeah,
That'd be too much.
right? You're getting old when you need those reader glasses, right?
Yeah.
My line of sight, it's weird because when I'm every now and then I'm doing this because if I get too close, I can't see it. Now I can. Then I get back a bit. Oh, now it's blurry again. So
Hmm.
I'm
Yep.
one of
Hmm.
these old timers now. I got to be screwing around
Oh
with glass.
yeah. Oh, I'm wearing glasses now too, Lee. I'm wearing glasses now too. I've gotten to that age myself.
Oh boy, the joys of growing old. Um,
Yeah. So what did I miss? Anything good?
I just basically kicking things off. We're doing an introduction there, but the first question that came through, and it's one that I would love to get your take on as well, is about protein sources. Um, is that coming up on your end? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
Okay. It says, are there any protein sources you avoid, like pork, dairy, seafood, or do you eat a wide variety? And I was just sharing, like I typically eat a wide variety, but there are some daily staples I'll have on a regular basis. Like for me, eggs, egg whites, chicken, that's kind of pretty much daily. The dairy products, fat-free Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, that's pretty much daily. Other things like red meat and seafood, those are the occasional ones. Like I'll probably have them a couple times a week, but it's not a daily staple.
Hmm.
Uh, how do you go about it? Like, do you have a daily staples or occasional foods or anything that you personally avoid? What's how do you go about it for protein?
For like, yeah, I mean, for avoidance, I mean, I don't really avoid like too much of anything. Maybe like fatty sausages and stuff because that's more of like a source of fat than it is like a source of protein. And like some people think that that's a source of protein, but it's actually a source of fat. Um, and like peanut butter is another one, which is like a weekly argument I have with my wife where I'm like, "Have you had any protein today?" And she's like, "I've had a lot of peanut butter." And it's like, well, it's like a broken record sometimes, but like staples white meat, like turkey and chicken,
Mhm.
certainly all the time. Uh, uh, I like pork loins just because they're affordable and it's a good source of protein. And then fish, like I love fish. Like salmon is my favorite healthy meal that I make every single week, and I've come up with all kinds of different recipes and stuff and ways to prepare salmon that like I really enjoy. Um, and then red meat too. I really like lean, like very lean ground beef, like 90% plus lean. Um, which you can do. I like those because they're really easy. You can make like burger patties really easy when you get home. Just put in some seasoning and then just make it into a patty, put it on the frying pan. So it's like super convenient.
Mhm.
Um, and then protein powder too. Like, I mean, I have protein powder every single day, and I always have a 5 pound thing of protein powder in my cupboard. That's like my typical go-to breakfast is coffee with protein powder and a banana.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
And speaking of protein powder, do you have a particular brand of protein that you like, or do you mix it up?
I like the On Two brand a lot because they do this fruity pebble flavor that's really good that my wife likes a lot. So I get that one a lot. Or no, sorry, it's not On Two. What is it? ISO
Oh,
100. That's what it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. The On Two is good because it's relatively affordable and you can
Hmm.
get it on sale a lot of the times.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
I mean, when it comes to protein powder, that the biggest thing I think is really something that you enjoy and that sits well with your stomach. Because most name brand protein powders, the actual protein is just as good. Like we it's protein powder. It's whey protein. Typically, that's what most people are getting. And the actual protein itself is probably equally as good, assuming you're getting the same volume from one brand to the next. But what do you actually enjoy and what sits well with your stomach? Because some of them don't mix well, don't taste well, maybe cause a bit of gas or bloating. And that could be some of the other additives or things they put in. But the actual protein content itself is just as good. So if you're getting 50 grams of protein from brand A or brand B, it's 50 grams of whey protein. Like from a muscle building and nutritional point of view, it's equally as good. But what can you tolerate? That's the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the one
Yeah.
that I'm using, it's a private label one. It's a Canadian protein whey isolate. That's the one that I've been using. I really like that because it tastes good, mixes good, and we use it in a lot of recipes. What I mean by that, like high protein pancakes, or you can mix it in with oatmeal, like have high protein oatmeal and stuff like that. So it's really tasty that way.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
Yeah.
that was a great take on that, Jeff, and thank you for clarifying the lean protein versus the other proteins. Because again, a lot of people, hey, I'm sitting down, I'm having sausages because that's a great source of protein. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still make time or include some fatty meats into my diet every now, like chicken thighs or something like that,
sure.
right? Just because I really love chicken thighs. Like,
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah,
way tastier cut of meat than
absolutely.
like a
Yes.
chicken breast. So and you can mix it too. Like you could have like half a chicken breast with a chicken thigh or something like that. So
Sure.
that way you get a little bit more flavor in there as well.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. And just another side note, when I'm looking at protein, especially if it's going to be a processed protein, like maybe I am buying burger patties or I'm buying salmon burgers or chicken burgers or something like that. I always look at the nutritional label, and if there's more fat than protein, that's a red light, right? Like,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
know, sausages typically are like you look at, okay, per sausage link, there's 20 grams of fat and 15 grams of protein. Like that's a source of fat, not only from the sheer volume, but the fact that fat calories are twice as calorie dense as other calories. So like 9 calories per gram of fat versus 4 calories per gram of protein. So
Hmm.
when you're looking at those fattier cuts of meat or those fattier options, yeah, I mean, calorie wise, it's massive calorie difference. I mean, it's literally a source of fat, not a source of protein. So I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, that would be something I would avoid or at least minimize and have it as the occasional treat, but not, the daily staple for sure.
Yeah, totally.
But no, that's a good one. And there's so much we could unpack. I mean, like you could literally do a an hour long podcast on protein and still only be scratching the surface.
Yeah. Oh, I know it. I know
Those-
it.
Man. Uh, but yeah, how are things going on your end? I mean, I know it's been a little while since we've chatted. I mean, like I seen some videos you posted there of doing some park workouts with your gymnastic rings. How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's been going great. I love it, man. I love getting outside, going to the park.
Hmm.
It's about a mile and a half walk from my apartment to the park, so I love getting out. I could take the rings, take the mile and a half walk to the park, set them up, do some strength training, and then the mile and a half walk back to. I feel like I'm getting a good balance of cardio and strength training, and it's
Hmm.
just fun. I just love being outside. That's one thing that's nice about this move to Southern California is that you can be outside all year round. So I'm really, really,
Nice.
really enjoying that and try to take advantage of it. Because I know back home, I used to always love it. The summer months would come around because it would mean that I get to work out outside,
Yeah.
in the park. So now I get to do it all year round. It's great.
No, that's
Mhm.
awesome. I'll take
Yeah,
it of this for sure. Yeah.
yeah. How about you? How's everything going with you, man? How's cycling going? Set any new PRs?
Yeah, things are going well. I'm actually getting ready now to do our provincial road race coming up on September 28th. So the end of the month. So that's what I'm
Nice.
training for now. And after that, things will be starting to taper down a little bit and prioritize more gym training. But that's the way I go about my training is in the summer I prioritize cycling because it's fun and it's something I enjoy. And of course I do the local racing scene. But then in the winter time, like fall, winter, I'll scale back on the cycling and then get more gym workouts in. Because over the summer, I've only been averaging 1 or 2 gym workouts a week, and the
Yeah.
rest is on the bike, which I'm totally fine with. I mean, I enjoy that, and I really want to prioritize it and take advantage of the nice weather outside. But as gets colder, gets darker, all that,
Yeah.
I'm going to be taking advantage of the gym workouts more and prioritize it. So it's kind of like a periodization style of training for me, and something I really enjoy.
Yeah,
But,
totally.
yeah. Let's see. We got a few questions coming through here now. We got a good turnout today, which is nice. Let's see. I lost my place in the chat there now. We have another Jeff joining in. It says, thanks for your advice on the leg press last week. My hamstrings felt like they weren't going to explode. I went low and worked on my quads. Awesome. Glad to hear that worked for you, Jeff. The other Jeff, Jeff Miller. We got Scott joining in. Scott's a member of our Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Glad to have you joining in, Scott. He says, can you build muscle if already lean without going into a calorie surplus? If not, how much should that surplus be? All right, this is really an individual question, and we kind of have to cover different aspects of it. Can you build muscle without going into a surplus? Technically, yes, as long as you're in at least calorie maintenance and you're eating adequate protein, you can, because what will happen is you can still utilize some of the energy from stored body fat to fuel those workouts. It's going to be harder, it's going to be slower, but it is possible. And we also have to look at where are you in your fitness journey, because in Scott's case, he's been around the fitness game for years, right? He's had some ups and downs and all that, but over the long haul, he's been more on than off. So he's kind of consistently good. And that's what we want. We want to be consistently good versus occasionally great. So Scott's been consistently good, and it's going to be challenging to build new muscle without being in that calorie surplus at his stage. But for someone who's new to training or coming back after a layoff, you can actually be in a deficit and build muscle. Like, it's quite possible to be in a calorie deficit where you trim off a few pounds of body fat, but because of consistency with the training, better food choices, more protein intake, you could simultaneously add a few pounds of lean mass while dropping the body fat. And I bet, like, even in your transformation, Jeff, like when you were going through the early phases of your fitness journey, you probably seen that happening where the fat was coming off, but the strength and muscle was going up. Right? Just kind of like, and you're a good example of this, because you've kind of gone through the journey, like that early phase where the gains come. I don't want to say come easy, but it is easier than the more, right? So like, what was your experience with that? Like, just think back to when you were going through this for the first time and really just laying out a solid foundation with the workouts, eating better, but also losing body fat at the same time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Scott, great job with your transformation, man. Lee shared a photo of you the other day on his Facebook group, and Scott looks fantastic. So way to go, man.
Yep.
And so my experience was, when I first started working out, I was in the whole like, got to eat big to get big type of mindset. And I was certainly trying to eat in a surplus and trying to add calories any chance that I could get. And even though I was getting stronger in the gym, I didn't necessarily look any better. As a matter of fact, I was looking worse as time was going on. So my bench press was going up, my squat was going up, my deadlift was going up, like all my big major lifts and everything. But I really wasn't happy with how I looked. Once I stopped that mindset of like, okay, I got to eat a ton of food to gain muscle, and instead focused on just the quality of food that I was eating, and just focus on like eating enough to make progress and to keep moving things along, but not any more than that. So and that's what I still strive for today, like, or even today, like I try to eat enough to fuel my workouts, So that way I go into my workouts not feeling depleted, having good energy and everything like that, but not eating more where I start gaining body fat and everything starts to get kind of blurred because after a while it just it's not helping you build muscle anymore. It's just kind of getting stored as body fat. But I was surprised when I had made the switch, how my strength didn't really go down at all, and that's because, like you said, my energy, my strength was really getting fueled from all of that stored body fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so yeah, I totally agree with you 100%. Like
Mhm.
it's you don't have to overeat to gain muscle. You don't necessarily need to be in a surplus. Your body will take energy from stored fat.
Sure. And just to share on what you were talking about there, like I just want to show, like, this is Scott's transformation so far. I mean, we see that there. So I mean, he's lost a lot of body fat and he's quite lean now. I mean, like he's at the stage now where, like, most people say, like, hey, you're done. You're fit, you're in shape, right? Like,
Yep.
mission accomplished. But he wants to take it to the next level now and really focus on filling out his frame with lean muscle. And
Hmm.
it is certainly possible, but we have to put reality in there as well. One, I mean, he's in his 60s. So, like, he's not a spring chicken anymore. You're not going to make the same gains in your 60s as someone who's in their teenage years or in their 20s or even in their 30s. Like, as you get older, it gets a bit more challenging. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but it does make it more challenging for sure. Another thing, of course, is the years of experience, because he has been around the fitness game for a long time. Even though, like, he has gone through some ups and downs and put on a bit of fat and everything else, he's been working out for years, right? He has that solid foundation there. So the
Hmm.
game comes slower the more advanced you get, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But
I
the
think
thing,
too, and
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
uh, sorry, I was just gonna say too. I think another thing is like muscle growth and filling out your frame. You know that happens at such a slower rate than losing body fat does. And it takes years and years and years of consistent work and everything. And like it's that was a shock to my system when I started working out. Is like how slow, like eventually, like you do hit a wall with it, and the gains start happening quite slowly. But I lost a lot of body fat within like 5 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
No,
there's that reality.
I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's something we should just touch on with fat loss. Like, it's very realistic for someone who's overweight to lose, a pound of body fat per week or more. Like that's very realistic, very achievable. But you're never going to gain that much lean mass, at least not over the long term. You may gain that much lean mass in the short term, but it's not actual muscle tissue. It's probably like filling out the glycogen stores and stuff like that. But once you settle into a good muscle building routine, the gains come slow. Like, to gain a pound or two of muscle a month is really good progress. So you got to put that in perspective. You can lose fat way faster than you will gain muscle. I mean, again, like, it would be realistic for someone to lose 50 pounds of body fat in a year if they were overweight and had that much fat to lose. But to gain 50 pounds of muscle, like, that could literally be a lifetime of work.
Yeah.
They could, to put on 50
Yeah.
pounds of muscle, especially if you're looking at doing it in a natural means where you're not putting in, performance enhancements. 50 pounds of muscle, I mean, that could literally be a 10-year journey, easy, to put on that much muscle onto your frame. So
Hmm.
factor that in there as well.
Yeah. Totally.
But the big thing I think we really want to look at is not force feeding yourself, like the old school approach of, trying to force yourself to bulk up. Yes, there is a time and a place for it, and it may work, especially if someone's really young, if they have that ectomorph body type where they just eat and eat and eat and they can't gain a pound. Like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you can justify it for the short term. But for most people, myself included, when I would do that, I would gain, you'd fill up your glycogen stores and make those initial muscle gains, but then it would quickly spill over to body fat. And that's what happened. And if I could change one thing, like go back in time, I would not have tried to bulk up. I would have been more happy with the slow, steady gains and let your body grow versus trying to force it to grow. Right? That's a good mindset shift, because when you try and force it, the results are rarely favorable. When you try to anything, right? You have to like encourage it, nurture it, but you can't force it, right? So that's a different perspective. So I mean, in Scott's case or
Mhm.
anybody's case, one, are you consuming at least a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass per day consistently? And you could even bump that up a bit more. Like if you're trying to gain mass, like just simply go a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, shoot for 200 grams of protein. Like that's a good benchmark. And a little bit extra is not going to hurt, right? That's just going to help to ensure that you're covering all your needs. As far as like carbohydrate and fat, basically eat to fuel your activity levels, right? That's your energy sources there. So eat to fuel the activity level, but don't force it. Like this is something that you see people trying to literally choke down food and force feed themselves to gain weight, and it usually backfires. They end up, sure, they'll make those initial gains, but then it spills over and they end up just piling on extra body fat, and
Mhm.
it's not a healthy or sustainable way to go long term.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time, man. Like
Yeah.
everybody who I know who's gotten into shape has tried the bulking route before
Hmm.
and gotten the same kind of results.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So let's just see what else we got there. We've got several people joining in here. We've got Robert's a regular to our chat. Welcome, Robert. Glad to have you joining in again. Let's see. Oh, the Buff Canuck was talking about some new features that were added. He said there's a crown with the number one next to each name, indicating the level of channel support that one contributes through super chat and stickers. Do you know, I had no idea about that, because I'm seeing it from the streamer, the content producer's end. I never seen it from the the end user's point of view before. So thanks for letting me
Hmm,
know that. I had no idea.
very cool.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Because he was saying he likes the new features, and obviously that's through YouTube because he's chiming in there through YouTube. I didn't know
Hmm.
that. All right. I learned something new today. Let's see. We got another one from Adil. Adil's got some good questions today. He says, is there an optimal meal frequency or timing for body composition and performance, or is it all about calories and macros? Look at it like a pyramid. All right. The base of the pyramid that's going to have the biggest impact, calories. Like that's the foundation. Then the next level of the pyramid would be the macronutrient ratios. The next level up would be meal timing. That's the way you would hierarchy it. So for example, if someone's trying to improve body composition, like lose body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose body fat, right? So that's the most important thing. Like if that foundation is not there, meaning you're in a calorie deficit, it doesn't matter if you have the right ratios of macros or if you're spot on with your meal timing. If you're eating too damn much, you're not going to lose body fat. So we need to have that foundation in there first. The next, okay, macros, that's the next level. Because I mean, you could be eating a calorie deficit, but if you're eating calorie deficit of junk food, that's not going to optimize your athletic performance and your body composition. Meal frequency, it's still important, but it's the least important, right? And meal frequency really only matters when you're pushing the limits, and especially from an athletic performance point of view, right? So I'll give an example. Like if you're looking at an athlete who's training, doing multiple sessions a day, like maybe they have a strength training workout in the morning, they got a game practice in the afternoon. Meal frequency, having those frequent feedings throughout the day is going to be very critical, because they need to get that nourishment in there so they can recover for the next training session. Whereas the average person is probably working out 3 days a week. Meal frequency is not that big a deal because they got all this time. You got 48 hours or more between workouts. You got plenty of time to let your body replenish and recover. So frequency only matters when you're trying to really push the limits of athletic performance, or if you're doing prolonged sessions. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm training for cycling. If I'm doing a multi-hour session, a multi-hour ride, you need to fuel before and during that in order to sustain energy levels. Whereas if you're only doing like an hour workout, you got enough glycogen stored in your system to get through that hour workout without having to worry about intra workout nutrition or anything like that. So that's where meal frequency, it's a more of an advanced topic, but the base, you need the calories, then the macros, and then the meal frequency is the icing on the cake, if you will, for the more advanced situation.
Mm.
Is there anything you want to chime in, or like how do you go about it? Like, do you?
Well, I wanted to ask you. So I remember my father. He ran a lot of Boston marathons, and
Yeah,
I remember the night before the Boston Marathon, he would always have this like gigantic pasta dinner.
yeah.
For meal frequency for timing and stuff like that. So we had those slow acting carbs, slow digesting carbs during the race. What's your take on that?
It it does work, and there's a reason for that, because if he didn't have those carbohydrates and have his glycogen stores topped up, then you're starting the race with less than full glycogen. You're going to run out quicker, and it's a lot harder to play catch up and restore those glycogen stores during the race. So that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I do the same thing. If I know I'm going for a big ride or if I'm going to have a race, I will eat more the day before, but like the morning of as well. Like, I want to make sure that my glycogen stores are topped up and full going into that, so that you're performing at your best. And then the goal is during that race, you want to keep it topped up to the best of your ability. Now,
Mm,
you're still going to deplete the glycogen stores, but you want to keep enough that in reserve so that you don't bonk. And what bonking means is a term they use in the endurance world, where you literally run out of glycogen. So your blood sugar crashes, your glycogen levels crash, and that's your high octane fuel. So if you don't have enough glycogen in your system, like you burn up the muscle glycogen and the liver glycogen, now the next energy source is to start breaking down lean muscle as well as body fat stores for energy. And that's a very slow, not efficient process. Like, you can go from feeling strong and energetic to like boom, like just like hitting
mhm.
the ball. I mean, you could still function, but I mean, like, he's going to go from a running pace to a walk. Like,
Right.
that's the difference. When you run out of glycogen, like that's the high energy. So yeah,
Mhm,
he could probably still finish the race, but he'd be just scuffing his heels and walking it versus running it. So yeah, having those carbohydrates in advance, yeah, you're keeping the glycogen topped up. And this has been a big game changer in sports nutrition in recent years, because you did hear a lot of people, like the old timers, would carb up beforehand, but then there was a lot of people who would be a bit hesitant to that, or limiting the amount of carbohydrates they ate or the amount of food they ate, because they wanted to keep their weight low, that power to weight ratio. And there is a time where you want to optimize body composition, keep your body fat low, but you don't want to do so at the expense of not eating enough to fuel the activity. So the way
mhm,
I go about it is, on those days where I know I'm going to be doing a big ride or a race or training hard, I'm going to eat more to fuel that activity. On the days that I'm doing active recovery or shorter, lower intensity, I'm going to eat less because I'm not burning as much. I don't need as much. So you
mm.
can click the calorie deficit on the days where you're not pushing yourself, but on those days where you are pushing yourself, like running a marathon, that's pushing yourself.
Right.
You need to consume, right? You can't try and do that in a calorie deficit. That would be just
Yeah.
like shooting yourself in the foot. That's not happening.
Now how do you time it though? Like, do you try to eat like that big meal like a certain amount of hours in advance, or do you time it like down to down to that type of freak like that type of accuracy, or do you just try to eat before the event?
Um, I would eat the day before, like have several high carb meals and be in a calorie surplus the day before, so you could top up your glycogen stores. The morning of, I would have a big high carb meal at least couple hours before, so you're getting that in the system. And then, like, right before the race would start, like what I do is I would have some easy absorbing carbohydrates. So for me, I find like Cliff Bars, they sit well with me. So I'd have like literally before the race, like while people are getting ready and lining up on the start line, I would literally eat a Cliff Bar right
Mm,
there. I have that in the stomach, ready to be digested in the early part of the race. And then
yeah.
through the race itself, in my water bottles, I mix up carbohydrate powder and amino acids along with electrolytes. So I'm consuming, I, I shoot for, I ballpark estimate, I'm getting probably around 70, 80 grams of carbs per hour while I'm racing,
Hmm.
high intensity. If it's a lower intensity, I'd probably go a bit lower, but that's the kind of the ballpark. And this is something you can train for and test and see what your digestive system can tolerate, because that's the
Yeah.
biggest. What can you tolerate without feeling stomach upset, or you don't want to be regurgitating your food while you're racing.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be getting
Yeah.
sick, or having something that doesn't sit well and goes right through you, and you end up having to stop and take a number two during the race.
Yeah.
Like have that. So
Right. Right.
this is stuff that has to be practiced in training to see what you can tolerate. But for me, like I'll have that Cliff Bar right at the start. I find that works well. And then during the event itself, I'll be drinking carb powder. And for me, my carb powders, I literally buy big bags of maltodextrin, which is
Hmm.
just a starchy carbohydrate, but it's zero fiber. It's just pure starch. It's easy absorbed. There's not any digestive stress or fiber that's going to be, you know, causing me to want to go to the bathroom. It's
Right.
fully absorbed, and it provides that steady release of energy. So that's what I have. Yeah.
Now,
And that,
is there any practical like use of this application for like your everyday gym workouts, or would you only do this for like these types of events?
from the everyday gym workout, it could be practical if you're trying to maximize muscle growth. Like so, we had Scott talking about earlier. You could do this to ensure that as you're burning the calories in the gym. I mean, you could be replenishing that with amino acids and carbohydrate powder, but it's not as critical, because in the gym you're typically only in the gym for an hour, maybe two. So like there's enough
Hmm.
stored glycogen in your system to get through that. When those workouts go beyond the 2 hour mark, that's when you need to replenish it, because you're at risk of literally running out of glycogen. But if
Yeah.
you're an hour or two, you don't really need it as much. Now, it's not going to hurt. You could certainly still do it. And a lot of people, even endurance athletes, would train those shorter sessions to see how their body tolerates it. So literally training their digestive system, and just as an experiment, because you don't want to go into a race or a competition trying something new for the first time. Right?
Right.
That's like Russian roulette, right? It may
Mm.
work. You could be causing a lot of problems, a big gamble. So yeah, you could test all this stuff in those shorter workouts just to see what works and what doesn't for you.
Hmm.
You know?
Interesting.
Yeah. But again, going into like that nutrition hierarchy, this is the tip of the pyramid. Like this is nitpicky details. The foundation is your overall calories, your overall macronutrient ratio, and food choices. That's the 80-20, right? Like that's the bulk of it right there. you know
Yeah.
Meal timing and all this kind of stuff. That's the tip of the iceberg, right? It's still important. And I mean, when you look at high level competition where things can be won, and you know it depending on the type of race, like I mean, a sprint is won by a fraction of a second, right? A marathon could be won or lost by seconds, or small margins in some cases. This might make the difference between winning and second place, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
Or personal best and falling short, right? It depends. These little things can make a big difference, but you have to have the foundation first, right?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Screwing around with meal timing when you don't have your calories and your macros dialed in, it's like, what's the point, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Hmm. Yeah, and I've always tried to focus on the bigger picture of things as well, and try not to like get too bogged down on the minor details. But that's how I've always approached it. I haven't really worried too much about meal timing unless I'm doing like a big hike or something like that. If I'm doing a big hike, I'll have a big like carb meal, like oatmeal or something in the morning before I hit the hike. But yeah.
And with a hike too, like you should still eat during it, but it's at a relaxed pace. I mean, sure, it's intense, but it's not like unless you're trying like set a personal best or you're you're on the time or something like that. You can stop, you can have a snack, like you don't need to be as efficient. Whereas when you're running a race or you're on a bike riding a race or whatever, you have to find a way that you can consume nourishment while you're moving, while you're going at race
Right.
pace. That's a challenge. That's why I take advantage of my water bottles, because I got the water bottles on the bike and just get into the habit of consuming that regularly. So I'm hydrating and I'm nourishing at the same time. Some
Hmm.
people bars and gels and different types of ways to get calories in while they're racing, and that is a challenge, right? Whereas if you're on a hike, you can stop for a break, open up your knapsack, and have a snack or solid food meal or whatever, right? Whatever you packed for your lunch, right?
Right. Right.
So
I,
it's
I I know our listeners have a lot of questions, but I have a bunch of questions too.
that's all
Is
good,
it
man.
okay?
It's
Is
all
it okay
good.
if I ask it? Yeah. I've experimented with like amino acids in the gym before, right? Like EAAs.
Yep.
But you mentioned carbohydrates for your water. What's the difference between using like an EAA and a carbohydrate like
Use both.
supplement in the water?
The EAAs, which is essential amino acids, and the idea behind amino acids is they're rapidly absorbed by the body and they help with the recovery process. So they're not really going to give you much in the way of energy, but it's going to help speed up the recovery process. So
Mm,
when you're this can actually apply really good for a weight training workout, because we often hear the topic of like post workout nutrition, and you want to get the jump start on the recovery. It's consuming amino acids during the workout itself, and it could simply be as putting amino acid powders in your water bottle and sipping it during your workout. It could be as simple as that. That gets the jump start on it because amino acids are rapidly absorbed and utilized by the body. So, to put things in perspective, if I eat a chicken breast, it's going to take several hours for my body to break down, digest that chicken breast into the actual amino acids that my muscles need for recovery and growth. Amino acid supplements are already broken down to the most basic form. So when I consume them, they're actually being absorbed by the body within about 20 minutes. So it's literally during the workout itself, you're providing the raw materials your body needs for recovery and growth. So you're getting the jump start on that, which is going to help speed up the recovery for your next workout. So
mm,
you're staying ahead of the curve. You're not digging yourself into a rut where you're breaking your body down and it takes hours before you start the recovery process. You're getting a head start on it. So that's where this can really play a good role in just general gym training, just having those amino acids there. But it's not going to give you energy, but it's going to help the recovery process. So you'll be
mm,
stronger for the next workout and your subsequent workouts. The carbohydrate powder actually gives you energy right now. Your body's breaking that down. That's keeping your blood sugar stabilized, and you're using that for energy during the actual training session itself. So that's the
mm.
difference, right? Carbohydrates give you energy now. Amino acids speed up the recovery for your next training session.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were going to be in the gym, like doing like an everyday workout, you probably want the EAAs, right? So that way you can recover faster for your next set, right? Whereas if you're doing like an endurance kind of event or something like that, that's when you'd use carbohydrate powder.
Yeah, and you would still use the EAAs because it helps to speed up the recovery process, right? So I mean, you're going to be more rested for your next workout or your next ride or your next whatever, right? Your next session,
Hmm.
right? That's the difference, right? The carbohydrates are giving you the energy now, whereas the amino acids speeds up the recovery, so you're well recovered and rested for the next session.
Right, right. I understand. Yeah.
But
Very
no,
cool.
this is helpful, and like getting back to this kind of, we can piggyback a lot of this stuff. I know Scott's question about like how to build muscle. this is something you can do. Like if you're not already doing it, making sure that you're having those amino acids during your workouts just to tip the scale in favor of speeding up that recovery and growth process while you're in the gym.
Right.
And even putting the carbohydrate powder in there as well. Like it's a little bit of extra calories. Like if you didn't want to have a massive surplus, just have the amino acids and the carb powder on top of your base diet. That will give you that little bit of extra right when you need it. And
Mm-hmm.
those extra calories are going to be shuttled towards recovery and growth versus empty calories that are probably going to get stored as body fat. So you can
Right.
use the timing of the workout to help shuttle those calories to where you want it for lean muscle growth versus excess fat calories.
Right.
Another nice
Yep.
thing is too, this is a side note, but it makes a big difference. When you nourish yourself during a training session, so you're going through the workout and you're keeping your glycogen levels topped up, you're not getting into low blood sugar, it stabilizes your appetite. So after the session is over, you can eat like a normal human being without feeling like ravenous and wanting to go pig out. Because
Hmm.
you probably did this before where if you say you did a big workout or a big hike or a big day of activity, but you didn't eat enough before or during that activity, afterwards you're famished and your inhibitions are low and you will eat anything. I deserve to order that pizza. I mean, I'm starving, or I deserve to go to the restaurant or the buffet, or you just eat anything and everything. Whereas if you keep your blood sugar stable before and during, afterwards, you're not really all that hungry. And then you can make sensible food choices, have your protein and your veggies and your good complex carbs. And that's a big thing I found once I started having the proper nutrition before and during. I wasn't pigging out afterwards because that
Yeah.
temptation there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This reminds me of a funny story. I went on this big hike one time in the Northeast, and me and my buddy we did Mount Washington, which is like a 6,500 foot
I've
elevation
heard of
gain
it.
hike.
It'd be quite the adventure for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember we got together in the morning, right? I had oatmeal and protein powder, and I packed a bunch of nuts and like protein bars and stuff like that for the hike. And he didn't have anything, right? He had nothing for this hike, right? We did the hike, and then we got done, and he's like, "All right, time for the best part." And we went to this diner, and he got a strawberry shortcake. He had it all to himself, like this giant strawberry shortcake. We got the barbecue ribs. He's having the barbecue ribs, the French fries, and everything like that because he's like, "Oh, we earned it. We earned it. We earned it." Right?
Right.
Yeah, yep, yep. And then me, I think I got like a cheeseburger or a hamburger or something like that, and then like that was it, right? But like you should have saw, man, he was like two entrees, dessert, like Coca-Cola afterwards, and in his mind, he's like, "Well, I earned it." But I took the different approach. I was like, I'm gonna fuel my body throughout the entire event, and then at the end, yeah, I give myself a little reward for like doing like a big thing like that, have like a burger, but then like just have like the burger and then like that's it, like move on. Like, yeah, it's not like a pass to go and splurge out.
And that's a much better way of going about it. And what your friend did by not having anything before, okay, like a lot of people think, well, if I did that hike in a fasted state, I'm going to burn all that fat and calories during the hike, which is true. Yes, you will. You will burn more during that hike. But then all the strawberry shortcake and all the crap that he ate afterwards, and he over consumed what he burnt. Like the calories that he consumed after that hike were way in excess of what he actually burned during the hike. So
Sure.
this is how people can say, well, I don't understand. Like I do all this exercise. How come I'm not losing weight? This is why you're not losing weight, right?
Yeah.
On the calories in, calories out at the end of the day.
Yep.
And this also parallels with like intermittent fasting. Like you see this, a lot of people say, well, I intermittent fast, but then in the evening when they're starving and their blood sugar crashes, then that lowers their inhibitions and like, man, I deserve to have that pizza. I mean, I didn't eat anything all day, or I deserve to have, second helpings at dinner because I didn't eat anything all day. And then they end up overeating later in the day and it cancels out their calorie deficit. right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
having that frequency, this is where meal frequency can really help, is keeping the blood sugar stable, versus having that crash and then binge, crash and binge.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. But no, that was a great example. Thanks for sharing that one.
It's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah. So let's see what else we got there. Another questions that we can go through. We got Gideon joining in saying, when did you realize you needed to shift your focus from ego lifting to strength, cardio, and mobility? What made you realize that mindset change was necessary? Growing old, older, injuries, all there's a lot of things, but yeah, injuries was the big one. Like I was getting hurt doing the ego lifting, and I want to unpack this because when you're doing ego lifting, it's only when you look at it from hindsight that you realize it was ego lifting. Because when you're in the moment, it it's not ego lifting. Like you just, I'm hardcore. I'm pushing myself. I'm well, but when you get into that comparison and trying to keep up, or always trying to lift heavier, do more. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we do want to train in a progressive overload fashion, but sometimes you can push too much and you're trying to force yourself to get stronger or force yourself to grow. And that's when things usually go wrong. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I will still train in a progressive overload fashion, but it's not forcing it. It's letting myself grow. And I'll give you an example of this. Like when I'm doing my workouts now, I'm not always trying to chase, an extra 5 pounds on a lift, or always trying to get more reps, or always trying to do more. But if I'm doing the workout and I'm like, you know what, that felt light, I think I can do more, then I will do more. Or if that felt easy, I think I can go harder, or I will. But I'm not in there always like, oh, you got to do more, right? If you don't add an extra 5 pounds to your squat today, then the workout is a waste and you're a pussy. Like,
Mm.
that way. Right. So I let myself grow. And if the weight feels easy, or I feel I got more in the tank, sure, I'll push it. If I don't, then I have no shame in scaling it back, or just doing the same as what I did before. Right. That's fine as well. But the big shift is, for me anyway, was the injuries. Like
Yeah.
uh, I mean, everybody's had some aches and pains and muscle pulls and strains, I think. But for me, the big ones, I tore a muscle in my back and I ended up tearing both biceps. That was the big ones for me. And, some of those injuries still haunt me today, like especially the one where I tore the muscle in my back. Like I haven't been able to do deadlifts and exercises like that the same since, because when I start creeping up in weight, it aggravates that muscle tear again, right? It never did fully heal, right? It's the same with the
Yeah.
bicep. I've got one bicep now that's shorter than the other, right? So I mean, those injuries, I mean, they're reminders, if you will, right? That's I'm not
Mhm.
invincible.
Yeah.
you know. I mean, have you changed your training, Jeff, over the years? Like that?
Yeah, yep, yeah, for sure. Where it changed for me was I was in great shape, but I didn't feel good, and that was really, really an eye opener for me. Just because you see somebody and they look in shape and they look great doesn't mean that they have a great quality of life. And that's where it hit me, is that I looked great, but I felt stiff all the time. I didn't feel athletic. I didn't feel like I could do extended cardio workouts or endurance, any type of endurance training for a long period of time. Like I was good at like the heavy compound lifts, like going slow, like and taking
Yeah,
5 minutes between exercises or between sets or whatever. But I wasn't explosive. Couldn't touch my toes. I didn't have any good overhead mobility. I woke up feeling stiff all the time, and it's sore from previous workouts too. Like I'd go so super hard in the gym, and then I'd wake up the next day and like I couldn't sit on the toilet because I hit squat so hard the next day. I mean, we've all been there, right? Is it like
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? Like I'm sure you've gone through it too. And I just like I eventually I just kind of had a realization
Hmm.
that the whole point of fitness, right, is to improve the quality of your life. And if I wasn't experiencing a better quality of life, then what was the point? Um, so I really started to shift my mindset from being like, okay, like I don't have to go in and like completely destroy myself every single day.
Hmm.
Same thing like what we were just talking about, like with like calories, like do enough to nudge things along and
Right.
to make progress, but nothing more. You don't need to do more than that. Um, and then once I started focusing on things like cardio and mobility, I started to notice I did feel better. My quality of life went up. I had more endurance throughout the day. I felt capable of doing more. And as a side effect of that, too, all my strength training workouts got better, too.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, so I was able to all of a sudden once I started focusing on cardio, I was crushing my workouts. I'd go in and like my strength training workouts, like I'd go in and I'd crush it. I felt like I didn't have to rest as long between sets. Whereas before, if I didn't, I'd be gassed and I'd have to take 3 to 5 minutes in between sets just to recover from what I was doing before. So it's all connected. Right?
Yeah.
It's all connected. You get good at one thing, and it helps you improve on another thing and another thing, and so and I lived it. I experienced it, and so that's what really made me like give up the whole ego lifting thing. And another, I mean, I didn't have as big of an injury as you had, but I did have an injury one time. I remember I was deadlifting with a trap bar, and I felt a pop in my lower back,
Ooh.
and yeah, it was awful. I dropped the weight, and like I could feel the whole back of my body just start to seize up. My lower back was stiff,
Yeah.
and like I couldn't turn, I couldn't rotate from the hips. I had to move my entire body to look behind me, and I remember just going upstairs and just lying on the ground, like because that's where it felt okay, was when I was just flat back on the floor, and I
Hmm.
had to call out of work that day because I couldn't move, and it was scary. It was really scary. I called my wife, and I was like, I think I hurt myself,
Hmm.
and thankfully I got out of it. Like it only took like 2 or 3 days for it to get back to normal, but that was like an eye opening thing where it's like, what am I doing this for? Right? I'm not trying
Yeah.
to be Mr. I'm not trying to be Mr. Universe.
Hmm.
So why am I like pushing this as far as I'm pushing it? And um yeah, so that as well.
No, for sure. It's usually when things don't go right as when you get the wake up calls. Like you get those warning signs, and thankfully, in your case, I mean, okay, you pop something in your back, but it wasn't a major setback injury. It was something that healed up on its own, but it was enough to give you that warning light. Okay, something has to change. I need that wake up call. And that's usually what happens, because if things are progressing, like you don't have any major setback or any setback, you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like sometimes you
Yeah,
need to step back, in order to realize, hey, I need to make a change here.
right.
Yeah. But no, that's a great example. And, everyone's going to go through their own thing. And I know there's probably some young guys listening to this who, like, in the back of their mind, like, okay, yeah, I know about injuries and all that, but it's going to happen to somebody else. It ain't going to happen to me, right? Like
Mm,
I was in that situation. I was like, yeah, it's going to happen to somebody else. It's not going to happen to me, until it did, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know older guys too that never got out of that mindset of like, ego lifting and
Mhm.
pushing weight and stuff. Like I know guys in their 60s who get like who get shots in their arm, like cortisol shots in their arm and stuff like that, because their shoulders like
Right.
are so destroyed from just years and years of ego lifting. I
Hmm.
mean, you don't want to be that guy.
No. Right. I mean, there's, yeah. I mean, I know exactly where you're coming from, but yeah, you see people just constantly beating themselves up for why, right? Like it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I got another one. This is a good one too. This is from Frederick saying, with so many fad diets and next best workout programs online, how do you filter out the noise and focus on what actually works? That's a powerful question, and I'm going to tell you up front, it can be challenging. It really can be. I mean, I even sometimes find myself questioning this, even though I've been at this for over 30 years. It's sometimes hard to not chase that red shiny ball when, like, hey, oh, there's a new diet, there's a new workout. Nowadays, my bullshit detector is more fine-tuned, I guess. The antenna is more dialed in, and I can pick up on it. So if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
Like if people are promising fast, easy results, yeah, I'd be very cautious about that. Or there's some magic diet that's going to allow you to eat whatever the hell you want, and no effort, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, be cautious, right? Like that's generally a good line, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right?
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, do you have any hacks or things that you use for this?
Yeah, I got a hack. Listen to Lee Hayward and no one else.
Right, I appreciate that one.
That's your hack. No, no, no.
Yeah,
I think in today's world, with social media and stuff, like, it's all about like posting controversial stuff to get reactions, and because of that, you see all kinds of crazy stuff that's being posted online. I remember seeing this video one time. It was this person. It was a comedy video, and this person's there in the grocery store, and they every thing that they pick up at the grocery store, there's an Instagram fitness model who's saying that's bullshit. So he picks up, he's like, I think I have potatoes. And then all of a sudden it cuts to this fitness guy and he's like, potatoes are bullshit. And it went all the way through that until eventually he's like, I'm just going to drink water. And then there was somebody who said, water's bullshit.
right.
I mean, so there's just, what you see on social media is meant to get reactions, and it's meant to get, it's meant to be controversial. And
Mhm.
you can pick those things out. At least I can now, just from
Yeah.
doing this long enough, and everything, where I just see things and I'm like, this, and that's what they want. Like, they want me to go on there and be like, this is completely, BS. Like, potatoes are great for you, whatever. Like, I built tons of muscle, because they're just looking for, it's like any type of publicity is good publicity in their mind. So, um, so yeah.
It's unfortunate that that's the way it is, because if you post very controversial topics, again, like I'll give you an example. Like if someone says that, you know, like the whole carnivore movement, and you say like vegetables are bad for you, whereas we went through a lifetime of people saying, like fruits and vegetables and natural unprocessed foods are a good healthy part of your diet, and now you're getting the carnivore advocates saying, oh, vegetables are bad for you, don't eat vegetables. That's very controversial. And what's going to happen is, one, it's going to stand out, right? It's going to get a lot of attention. But then in the engagement, in terms of comments and feedback, you're going to get people who agree with it saying, oh, yeah, but I hate vegetables. Vegetables suck. And then you're going to get other people saying, oh, I love vegetables. And that banter back and forth is just going to drive the engagement up. So then when you go searching for content, this is going to show up front and center, because obviously it's getting a lot of engagement. The algorithm likes it. It's going to present this first. Whereas if someone puts out, well balanced, common sense advice, it's like, that's so vanilla, right? And it
Right.
doesn't get as much traction. And I suffer from that as well. Like, I mean, a lot of the regulars, they look at my stuff. I mean, they like, hey, your content doesn't get a lot of views, and it's because I'm not trying to create this clickbait or this controversial crap, right? I'm not
Right.
trying to just put shit out there for the sake of getting views and likes and stirring the pot. Now, I know a lot of people in the fitness industry, they thrive off that. Like, if they can stir the pot and create controversy, like, even if they know what they're saying is flat out crap, they do it just for shits and giggles and to get the attention, right?
Yeah.
It's the way
Yeah.
it is. So, as far as how to, keep your, I guess, your wits about you when it comes to new programs, don't be the guinea pig. Like when something new comes out, whether it's a new supplement, a new diet, a new workout, like, don't, oh, I got to try that. Like, let it simmer for a while. Like, hey, who else has done this? What are their results been like? Don't be the guinea pig to rush out and try something. I used to be like that back in the days, especially in bodybuilding magazine days and the supplement ads come out. Right? There'd be the next greatest supplement that was going to be the secret to unlocking your gains, and you're going to get huge and jacked and turn pro and blah blah blah. And people would rush out and spend a fortune on it, and then realize that, hey, this doesn't do diddly squat. And then the next
Right.
supplement come out, and you'd rush out and spend your money on it, and it doesn't do diddly squat. Like, let it sit for a while, right? Don't be the guinea pig, and you'll find that if something is actually legit and has some merit, it will pass the hardest test of all, which is the test of time. Like, has this been around for a while? And if it has, then okay, maybe I want to look into it a bit more. That's a genuine strategy you can use there. And another thing is, look at the commonalities. Like, what do a lot of when you look at successful people, like what are some common trends and common things that they have in common? And that plays a big role. Like, if you see someone who's the outlier, okay, it might work for them, or they might, be the exception to the rule. But what are the vast majority of people doing to get results? Like, we can apply this to anything. Like, imagine someone had hey, learn to be a professional drummer in one weekend. That sounds a bit too good to be true, right? I mean, how many professional drummers became professional drummers in one weekend?
Zero.
Right? Like,
Yep.
so when you hear these too good to be true things, like, take it with a grain of salt and realize, look at the general trend. Like, think of all the best people, whether it's bodybuilders, athletes, musicians, whatever. What are the commonalities that they have, and kind of base your decision on that. Like, follow the general rule of thumb. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't other strategies and there's going to be advancements and stuff, but you can't escape the basics, and you can't escape putting in the hard work, putting in the reps, putting in the time. Right? You can't escape that. Any program that tries to tell you can shortcut the hard work, and I actually our last podcast I did it with some of the guys who are going through the Muscle After 40 program, and we were discussing The Biggest Loser. That documentary that came out on Netflix. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I haven't seen the documentary, but I've seen the show before.
Right, you're familiar with the show, but when you get a chance, it'd be worthwhile to watch it, because it's very eye-opening to see behind the scenes. And this is one of the things I want to discuss too, with fad diets and stuff like that, is in the short term, sometimes they do work. Like in the case of The Biggest Loser, I mean, those people, they achieved incredible results in the short term. But then when you look at the long-term results, virtually all of them regained the weight, and many of them are heavier now than when they started. So it's, when you look at, extrapolated over the course of long-term results, they would have been better off not doing The Biggest Loser, right? Like, because they ultimately didn't achieve any long-term sustainable results. Right. So that's another thing, is not just what can you do in the short term, but what can you sustain long term, right? That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yep. Yeah. The most powerful thing I think that I've learned through going through this transformation and from working with you is that habits trump everything. It's what your daily habits are that matter the most. So if it's a fad thing and there's a finish line to it, or there's a timeline to it, or you're guaranteed something in X amount of days, anything that says X amount of days attached to it, so you pretty much run from that.
Yeah.
And focus on building your habits. And I've been surprised too, like moving out here and everything, and being out of my routine for a little while and stuff, like how sticking to the basic core principle habits that you worked on with me over all these years, like how that's really helped me maintain a baseline of fitness. And like I've gained, like, even though my diet hasn't been as like on point as it was back home, like I think I've maybe gained like 5 pounds at most at a time. And then it's funny because like I'll gain 5 pounds, and then like 4 or 5 days of like getting back to the routine and back to the basic habits and everything, that those 5 pounds will be off again.
Right.
So I haven't like I've had more flexibility than I've ever had living out here. But because of those habits and everything, I really haven't lost too much of what I had before when I was like 100% dialed in on things. Um, yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that, and I'll have to dig up the source of this, but I remember hearing there was there was a study done where they tested two groups of people, one who was told they were going on a restricted diet, and another one who was just basically eat normal, right? Like no strict diet, and they wanted to actually test the results long term. And the people who were trying to be on a diet actually long term ended up gaining weight, whereas the people who were not on a diet either sustained or in some cases even lost weight. And
Yeah.
the reason behind that is because when you put the pressure, like, oh, I'm on a diet, or I'm not allowed to eat this, or I got to cut this out, or I got to be in a calorie deficit, and you put all this pressure on yourself, when you're on and things are going great, okay, yeah, you can be in that calorie deficit and achieve the fat loss. But if things screw up, like for example, like here it is Friday, let's just say you had a slip up now today, and like, oh, diet's blown. Well, I'll start again on Monday. And then you'll end up overeating all weekend long, because, well, diet starts on Monday. I better get those cravings out of the system now. I've even seen this with guys who've done the Lose Your Gut challenge that we've had in the past. They say, well, Lose Your Gut challenge starts next week. I better eat all the junk food in the house now and get it out of the way so I can start off clean slate. And like, it doesn't matter if you eat it now or next week or next month, like you're still eating it, right? So
Yeah.
they would actually eat more crap knowing that they were going to go on a diet next week or a Lose Your Gut challenge or whatever. So when you don't have that pressure, like I'm not on a diet, you eat normal because you don't feel like it's restricted or it's taboo or you're not allowed to have it. And because it's not a restriction, the temptation to indulge is less.
Yeah.
I've shared that before. Like if I said, hey, you're never allowed to eat pizza ever again, or whatever your favorite food is, all of a sudden, like subconsciously, you're like, shit, I want pizza, or I want what I'm not allowed to have. But if I never said anything, like it's not even on the radar, and it's not a big deal. But as soon as
Yeah.
we scarce, we want what's scarce. So
Right.
when you put restrictions on your food, it sometimes backfires and actually makes you want it more. And very often in those moments of weakness, you do eat more.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been times where I've had like a cheat thing
Mhm.
and I'll eat it fast because I feel like if I eat it faster, then it won't count as much.
I know this is wrong, so I just want to get it over with as fast as possible. Like, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So then I don't even enjoy it. I just feel guilty.
yeah. That's another strategy. If you are going to indulge, whether it's dessert or chips or pizza or ice cream or whatever the heck it is, like acknowledge it. Hey, I'm going to enjoy this slice of cake and I'm going to savor it and enjoy every bite versus trying to woof it down and hopefully I get it in me before somebody sees me. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Running into the kitchen at midnight, the hand in the cookie jar and woofing the cookies down. Hopefully nobody catches you. Right.
Right. Yeah. We've all been there.
Oh yeah, but just acknowledge it. Hey, I'm going to eat these cookies and I'm going to take my time and enjoy them. Right? You get more time under taste and better satisfaction. Right?
Yeah,
The
totally.
calories are the same regardless. Just
Yeah, yeah, you might as well enjoy it.
yeah. Oh, we got one more here I want to go through. This one's from Lee. He says, "Do you have any advice on how to get a pump/energy boost before a gym workout?" He says, "I don't like pre-workout and I don't drink caffeine. Normally have a banana and some oats, but I need a bit more." All right, that's a.
Mhm.
wh- I have to be honest. I do enjoy caffeine for an energy boost. And for me, my caffeine choice is usually black coffee. And I've tailored down my caffeine consumption considerably over the last several years because I used to abuse it. And I find when it comes to caffeine, if you use too much of it, it's not an energy boost. It's just becomes energy maintenance. Like you need it just to function. It's it's not like making you higher energy. It's just I have no energy, and when I have caffeine, I have a little bit of energy. Like I can get through the day, but
Mm-hmm.
right, that's where I was getting to with it. So now I'm very strategic with it. But if you do a total caffeine detox, you can still have energy without it. I mean, my wife's a prime example of this. Trish has not had caffeine. I'm going to say pretty close to 2 years, maybe in that range now. Like no coffee, no soda, no. She will have decaf coffee. Now I know decaf coffee has trace amounts of caffeine, and for those nitpicky people, but still, it's minuscule amounts of caffeine compared to what most people are doing with energy drinks and pre-workouts and you know
Mm-hmm.
grande Starbucks, coffee concoctions,
Mm-hmm.
drinking a pot of coffee in each one, right? Yeah, so I mean, she consumes minimal amount of caffeine, but she has stable energy throughout the day. It's not the highs and lows with the caffeine consumption; it's just stable energy. So
Yeah.
you don't need it if you can condition your body to function without it. But as far as the energy, like what I would look into there, I would try and, if possible, schedule your workouts when you naturally have the most energy. And the time I'm thinking of early in the day, like generally after a good night's sleep, you probably have more energy in the AM than you do in the PM. Like trying to get a workout in that afternoon energy slump, the 2 p.m. slump for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
probably not the ideal time. So whenever you feel like your natural energy is the highest, try and schedule your workout around that time.
Yeah.
For me, I love a morning workout. I wasn't always that way, but in recent years, I've kind of conditioned myself. So if I get a morning workout, I don't need caffeine to have energy for that morning workout. I feel well rested from the night's sleep. But if I try and do an evening workout or an afternoon workout, I'm probably like, bleh, I need a coffee or something to get me going.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
have you got any tips or anything you want to share on that? I'm just going to bring the question back up there again. The one about
Uh, I don't know
caffeine.
if I'm. Yeah, I
No.
don't know if I'm the one to ask because I'm a full blown coffee addict.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right.
No, 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 no.
All
I
right.
mean, I do love coffee, but I find that what I do before my pre-workout is it helps me get into what I'm doing is joint preparation.
Okay.
Yeah, so like a lot of like like warming up your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, your hips, right? Your knees, your ankles, your scapula, doing a lot of like mobility type of stuff. I got into doing animal movements, which you and I have talked about before in the past. Like I really like those because those really prime your core, your stability, your shoulders. Like that stuff's really great. And then do like a quick little jog, like you know 3 5 minute jog, something like that, just to kind of get the heart rate up, get a little bit of a light sweat, and then typically I'm ready to go
Mm-hmm.
from there. But I mean, also warming up with the movements that you're about to perform. Also, so like if you know that like you're doing a workout where you're like I'm going to do a lot of squats this workout, then doing a lot of squat like body weight squats to warm up, or deep knee bends, or internal hip rotations or external hip rotations, uh, core preparation, things like that. And then starting light and then getting into it, building it up to your working weight from there. But I always warm up and I always try to do some type of joint preparation before because I feel like it's not always like me feeling tired as much as it is my body feeling stiff that I need to prime.
I like that, and I mean, I do advocate warming up, but I like that take on it. It's not just from an injury prevention point of view; it's actually to a mental and physical point of view as well. Because if you're sitting around, working at a desk or whatever you're doing, you need to get off. You need to move to generate some energy, right? So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
artificial energy in terms of I need an energy drink or caffeine or pre-workout. Like sometimes you just need movement, like movement to get going.
Yeah.
And I think that does, like, even just get a walk around the block, get some fresh air, get some movement happening is a great way to just kind of get get your body firing so that you feel better. And then, of course, all those activation movements. You probably hear a lot of noise in the background. That's my son.
I was gonna say, speaking of movement.
Yeah, they don't need any caffeine or pre-activation or whatever, right?
Yeah, so just stay young forever. That's all you need.
Guys, can you try and keep it down a wee little bit? I'm doing a call here. All right. Just a wee little bit.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you could have that, I mean, if they could bottle that up into a pre-workout, the energy of an 8-year-old, like, man,
trillionaire.
I would be. They're just right outside the door there. One's on each side of the hallway, and they're throwing a ball back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How's Harvey doing with the drums there, Lee?
He's doing pretty good. They've got another show coming up now, the 20th of September.
Nice.
Harvey, you want to go downstairs?
Okay, sorry.
Come in, say hello. Jeff's here. He's asking you about your drums.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
I'm good.
How's the drumming going, man?
Yeah, good.
What song were you playing the other day?
What was it? Press button the button.
Say hi.
Nice, man. Yeah, very cool. So doing some straight tunes.
This is Christopher.
Hey, Chris.
These are the guys who have endless energy with no caffeine. Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why he's such a great drummer, because you need that enthusiasm if you're going to bang the drums that.
But no, they got a show coming up on the 20th, so it's going to be at a club downtown. They're going to be playing. So I think they've got 4 songs lined up that they're going to be doing with his group, like with School of Rock. That's what they do. They'll have the place for a weekend, and like all the different groups will have their stage time. So, right, he's got it set up. They'll be doing 4 songs with their group.
Very cool. I like how he's growing the hair out too. That's gonna look cool behind the drums.
Hair out, like, mine's getting thinner and grayer. Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy it while you can, Harvey.
Oh yeah. Right. What else have we got there? How are you doing for time? We're probably going to get ready to clue this up shortly.
Yeah, I got to get going pretty soon, but I could probably do one more.
All right, let's see what else we got there. Let's see. We got a lot of questions coming through here. Shit, I got to pick one. What am I going to finish off with? Let's just see. I'm just going to randomly pick one, guys. There's nothing personal. I can't answer them all, or we can't answer them all, but we're just going to pick one. Who hasn't asked a question? All right, here's one. Kyron, how long does it take to get single-digit body fat if your diet is in check? Thanks. Love the podcast. All right. Well, glad you love the podcast. Appreciate that. How long to get single-digit body fat? And this is one of those it depends answers, right? I know a lot of people don't like that, but it depends. Like, first off, what's your body fat now? Right? How long it's going to take to get to single-digit body fat depends on where you're starting from. And quite honestly, some people will never get single-digit body fat, depending on their genetics and where they're starting from. To put it in perspective, we mentioned this at the start, a realistic weight loss goal for most people, 1 to 2 pounds of body fat per week. Like the average person, that's very realistic. For someone who's really overweight, they can lose more because they have more to lose. But for most people, 1 to 2 pounds per week. And Jeff, when you were going through your fat loss, like what was your average weight loss? Was it in that range?
Yeah, it was in that range. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember I kept a journal next to my bathroom scale, and I would weigh myself every single morning. And of course, you know, it would fluctuate from day to day. Some days I would lose like 3 pounds. Some days I would lose 1 pound, half a pound. Some days I would gain a pound or gain 2 pounds or whatever. But I was always trying to make sure that the trend was that the number was going down over time. So collecting data really helped, being able to look back and be like, okay, like that way I wouldn't get discouraged if I'd be like, all right, well, I gained a pound today. It's like, but I've lost 5 pounds in the past 3 weeks or something like that, right? Like having that kind of information is really valuable because it tells you that what you're doing is working. And then it's really just a matter of time, and you should try to milk that as long as you can. So I think where a lot of people go wrong is that they see that they're maybe not losing weight as quickly as they want, and then they try to resort to like drastic cuts, and they try to reduce their calories like crazy. And then what ends up happening is that you know, they end up burning out as a result of that, right? Because your body can't function with that low calories. So what I would do is I'd see that I was losing weight, and I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm doing it, it's working. And then I would just ride that and milk that as long as I could until I wasn't losing weight anymore for like a long period of time, like 2 to 3 weeks. And then I would make another small minor adjustment to get it going again, and then milk that as long as I could until I had gotten down to a body fat where I was happy, I had energy, and I felt like I could sustain it for a long period of time, not just like hit that number and then all of a sudden be like, oh, thank God, and then gain some of it back. So, and where I got to where I felt the most comfortable is I got like around like 10%, 9% body fat. And then it was after that, it was like, okay, if I wanted to like lose any more, I would have to like really start like monitoring things and cutting things to the point of where I would feel uncomfortable and not have any energy, and that might discourage me. That might give me that kind of attitude of like, screw this is miserable, I don't want to do this anymore, and then end up rebounding you know, more than I had before I started cutting. So but that was my strategy, and it worked great for me.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And one thing I want to touch on here is, as well, it's single digit body fat. Like that is the goal in Kyron's case there, but is that sustainable, right? For me, it's not, right? And I'm just going to see if I can. Oh, I want to just share this screen here now to kind of put things in perspective. Because I went through this every time I ever did a bodybuilding competition, right? I'm just going to share that. Just hide that. This was my bodybuilding journey. I'd start off, you know, overweight, diet down, single digit body fat for competition. After the contest was over, I'd balloon back up again because I was so deprived and the pressure was off after the contest. Then I would start eating all the food that I was depriving myself of in the months leading up to the contest. So my weight would literally yo-yo up and down, up and down, up and down every single competition. And I did that for 15 years as a competitive bodybuilder. So for me, my off-season weight at my heaviest, I'd be in the 240s. And my contest weight was usually around the 190 range. So we're talking like a 50-pound fluctuation between competition, right? So like off season to pre-contest, up, down 50 pounds. And I do that year after year after year. So yes, I would hit the single digit body fat for the short term, but I wasn't sustainable. And it was always like this on and off, all or nothing, right? Whereas now I don't operate with that on and off mentality or this all or nothing mentality. I try to operate more like a dial, where let's dial it up or let's dial it back, but let's never turn it off. Let's never go that all or nothing approach. And that's, you know, for me, right? Again, I'm just the whole idea of a single digit body fat. I know I could do it if I wanted to, like if I wanted to do another bodybuilding show or something. yes, I could get there, but it's not sustainable. It's not something that I can maintain, and it's certainly not something that I enjoy. And I have to make other sacrifices to have that low body fat.
Yeah.
Sacrifices in terms of energy, uh, strength, quality of sleep. Like a lot of people don't realize this, but when you're ultra lean, like you're not retaining any water. I mean, sleep quality is the shits. First of all, you're hungry, and very often I'd be waking up in the middle of the night with my belly growling, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat because I want to keep the calories low. Wait till the next meal, where I'm not retaining as much water, and carbohydrates are low. The water is just going through me, so I'd be getting up to pee multiple times per night, right? And it's just it was uncomfortable. Like I remember last time I did a bodybuilding show, like I was literally getting up every 2 hours to take a piss. So
Hmm.
sleep was disrupted, and because sleep was disrupted, I wasn't feeling rested and recovered, and strength and energy were suffering. Sure, I had low body fat, visible abs and muscle definition, but it looked good, but it didn't feel good, and
Yeah.
it's not worth it, right? I made that decision. Like I would much rather be 15% body fat and feel good and have a little bit of softness versus single digit body fat, shredded and whatever, but not feeling good. So you
Right.
got to look at the big picture there, right? So is a lot of people want to do it kind of like as a bucket list goal, like, hey, I just want to get ripped, and like you don't know how far you can go until you've gone too far, right? Right. Sometimes you got to do that, but I'm just giving you the big picture perspective, right? Instead
Yeah.
of hey, go hardcore, get shredded, whatever at all costs, because it may or may not be worth it. And anybody who's ever done a bodybuilding show before can relate to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Another thing, I just did a quick search to kind of give you an accurate number. The general rule of thumb for losing body fat, like we say 1 to 2 pounds per week, but to put that into percentage, a realistic goal would be probably like 0.5% of body fat per week. That would be a realistic goal for most people. So wherever you are, if you want to know how long is it going to take to get to single digit body fat, what's your current body fat, lose 0.5% of that per week and just do the math.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, that will give you the goal. And the general rule of thumb with getting lean is you don't want to try and diet harder, but diet longer, right? When you try and go harder, sure, the weight may come off faster, but you also risk losing more lean muscle. The risk of rebound is greater. It's just compounds a lot of these negative spirals that is ultimately going to set you back. But if you can lose it slowly, and you're I'm not saying it's always going to be sustainable, but it's more sustainable versus trying to lose it quickly. And we see a lot of this, nowadays, especially with these appetite suppressing medications and the semi-glutide drugs. We talked about this on a recent podcast as well. Sure, it can work in the short term, and you can lose a bunch of weight very quickly, but it usually has, there's usually a downside to that initial progress. Right, it's
Mm.
not a sustainable long-term thing, and right now, Ozempic is even facing some big lawsuits, from potential side effects from people. It's
Yeah.
in the vicinity of $2 billion of lawsuits that they're up against. Now,
Yeah.
they're multi-billion-dollar companies, so they can probably afford that, but still, it's something you want to
Yeah.
consider. Right. And if anybody's interested, like just literally go on Google right now and type in like Ozempic lawsuit 2025, and you'll get like a lot of news sites have covered the details about it and the potential side effects. Right. It's not just gastro and stomach issues, but there's also more severe side effects being reported as well.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of the quick fix solution. Right.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. And there's a sense of pride that you develop from doing it the slow and steady way too. Just remember that. Like it feels good to get down there when you can look back and you say like I stuck it out and I did all that hard work
Yeah.
and everything. So like I forget who said this to me one time, but it was like somebody can give you a fancy car. Somebody can give you a fancy watch, but nobody can give you like a lean athletic physique, right? Like a muscular physique. It takes a lot of hard work and determination. It speaks a lot to your character to be able to stick to something long term like that and see it through. So I mean that's part of the enjoyment of the process and part of the enjoyment of doing it in the first place. So um so don't take that away from yourself.
Yeah. No,
For sure.
absolutely. It's true. Like you can't outsource your bodybuilding and your physique. Like right, you can outsource other things, but you can't outsource that. I mean, you can get help and support and all that, but you still
Yeah,
have to work at the end of the day, right? There's no shortcut.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And did want to just reiterate what you were saying there. It's like I got down to like really low levels of body fat. I had the abs. I took the picture. Felt good,
Yep.
whatever. But same thing with what you were saying. Is like I didn't feel good at that percentage, and it's not worth trying to hold on to. Like you actually have a better quality of life, I think, when you can let go. I noticed that when I was in that body fat percentage, I was in a very much a all or nothing type of approach. Like I was super neurotic about everything that I put in my mouth and my workout routine and everything. And I was very strict about never missing workouts. I had no flexibility in my life. It drove my wife crazy. And
I can relate.
it makes yeah, it drives your wife crazy. And then you also neglect things too. Like if friends want you to go out on a Friday night or something like that, or Saturday night, it's like, no, I can't do that because I want the abs and everything. It's like you have to eventually. It's like you get the picture, and then you're like, okay, well, is it worth it?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it makes sense. I mean, like I can relate to that because that was the way it was every time I did a bodybuilding competition. Like you would literally put the blinders on and that's it. It's like no cheat meals, no restaurants, no anything that's going to derail my contest prep. It's a very selfish sport from that point of view. And I'm not saying that it's good, bad, right, or wrong, but it's just the way it is. Like you have to be that selfish person in order to get that result,
Hmm.
right? You have to be your number one. Your workouts are number one. Your meals are number one, and that's one side of bodybuilding that I kind of grown to dislike, and you see it a lot. Like even if you follow like fitness influencers and stuff, they're making you know they're talking about like their workout and their meals and like it's as if this is the pinnacle. And then like in the greater scheme of things, like there's a lot more important things than your workouts and your protein and macros.
Hmm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah,
right,
for
it's
sure.
a very selfish sport, but it is what it is. And I mean, I've did it for years. Like that's why I can speak to it, because I have done it and I can appreciate both sides of it. Like I can appreciate how it drives people nuts when they're living with a bodybuilder, right? Like, hey, we want to do something, but oh no, we can't do anything until Lee's goddamn show is over with. Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't go on vacation, can't go to a restaurant, can't do anything. Like everything is right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, that
I mean,
show.
I remember going out to dinner with friends and not ordering at the restaurant. I'm the only one sitting. We're like sitting in a booth, and it's like four people in a booth, and all three of them are eating, and I'm just sitting there drinking water. Like I've done crazy stuff like that before.
Yeah,
And
I
thinking
mean,
back on it now, it's like, God, that must have been so infuriating for those people who I was out to dinner with.
speaking of that, I remember there was one time I was in college and it was my birthday and there was another girl in my class. We had the same birthday and they wanted to take us out. And I was like, no, I'm getting ready for a competition and all this. They say, oh, you don't have to eat, you can order whatever you want, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But just come on out, right? Have the social aspect. So finally I gave in. I went out with them. And I was like a month out from a competition. So everybody's ordering, the pub grub type stuff, the wings and the French fries and the burgers and whatever. I ordered a garden salad with the dressing on the side and a glass of ice water.
Mhm.
So like standing out like a sore thumb, right? They're there with their their entrees and their pitcher of beer and everything else, right? And I'm salad and ice water. And then as a surprise at the end, they told the staff that it was our birthday. So they brought us out 2 slices of cake, one for me and one for the other girl who was having the birthday the same day. And then, I thanks guys, but I can't eat the cake. And like they just sang me happy birthday and put a slice of cake in front of me, and I wouldn't eat it. Like it's just I mean, so awkward for everybody, right?
Yeah. Man, this could be a podcast in itself, man. It's like, what's the craziest thing you ever did while while cutting?
Yeah, right. But that's the kind of stuff. I mean, and it's just. I mean, I understand it, and again, I've done it multiple times, and I'm not saying that I won't do it again. Who knows? I might still do another competition, but I realize that it's only a short-term thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to put myself through this short-term discomfort for a short-term result, but it's not going to be like, don't have grand visions of, oh, I'm going to keep doing this forever, because it rarely ever works that way. Now, with that being said, there are a few genetic outliers of people who can maintain low body fat without starving themselves. Like I do know some people who are in that category, but they are rare, right? Like that's
Yep.
that's like the number of people who inherited $1 million, right? And they're financially independent without working. Like,
right.
Right.
I got one more. Okay, this is a good one.
Yeah.
So we went out one time for my wife and I. It was one of our wedding anniversaries. I want to say it was our 7-year wedding anniversary. And we went out, and you know how if you tell them it's your anniversary, they'll bring out like a slice of cake, and they'll take like the syrup or whatever, and they'll write like happy anniversary with the syrup like on the side of it. Well, I told them that I didn't want dessert at the beginning of the dinner, right? And my wife's looking at me like, are you serious, right? So they at the end of the dinner, they brought out just a plate that just had the syrup on it, that just said happy anniversary with no cake or no anything, no pie in the middle of the plate.
Right? How do we make this guy happy, right? Like,
yeah,
oh
right.
man.
Oh man. It's my wife still brings it up all the time. I have the picture. I have the picture. I'm gonna send it to you after we get off this call so you can see it. It's hilarious.
Oh, man. But again, back to that question that spurred this conversation.
What was the question?
It was a second. It was shit. I lost my spot there in the chat. But it was talking about the body fat percentage. That's what it was. Okay, it was
right. Oh, how long to get the single fat? Yeah.
How long to get the single body? He did a follow-up there saying he's 23% body fat now. How long till I hit 5%? Well, first off, I don't know if it's possible to hit 5%. I mean, it all depends on your level of dedication, and are you willing to suffer it out to get to that 5%? Because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to hit it by accident. You're not just going to, I eat right and exercise. How long till I hit 5%? Like you could eat right and exercise and maybe never hit 5%. You might be lucky to hit 15%, right? I don't know. Right? Or maybe you will crush it and get absolutely shredded. But 5% body fat, like a legit 5% body fat, that is like contest shredded. That's what you see, when you're looking at bodybuilders on stage with not just visible abs, but you're talking like crisscross striations in their quads and in their triceps and Christmas tree in the lower back. Like there is zero excess body fat, like a true 5% body fat. I mean, all it is like internal fat at that stage. Like there's no subcutaneous fat under the skin. You're shredded. Is that possible? Maybe, right? I don't know. It depends on how hard you're willing to work. But to put realistic numbers there, as I mentioned, you're losing 0.5% per week. So 20, let's just do the math. You're 23, right? Minus, so you got 18% to lose. So you got
36.
Take you at least 36 weeks. At least. Like that's assuming everything goes well. You don't hit any plateaus or stagnate, or you don't screw up. You're not on and off again. Like 36 weeks, assuming that that's steady progress to get to 5%. I mean, honestly, how many people do you know even work out consistently for 36 weeks in a row? Right? Very few.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and most when I'm talking to people, oh, I've been on and off. I'm back to the gym for a few weeks. Oh, and then I had to take a few weeks off. No, I'm going back on again. And
Yeah.
it to even just work out consistently for 36 weeks in a row is rare. So
Yeah.
assume that you're going to have steady progress with no setbacks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
again, it
And
is possible, but right, just being real.
yeah, totally. And yeah, and I would ask too, like, why 5%? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could have very good like abs, like very good ab definition at like a 10 or a 12%.
Hmm.
So why 5? I mean,
Right.
it kind of reminds me of like when somebody says like, "Oh, I want to get down to this weight." Or something. It's like it's just like a number. It's just like an arbitrary number. Like why that number? Why is that number so important?
Hmm.
Um, so I I bet if you did go on that journey of trying to get down to 5%, you might find the physique you're looking for way before 5% and actually be like, able to sustain it for a lengthy period of time. So, but I mean, best of luck though on your journey though, man. I mean, if you can hit 5% body fat, that's an incredible feat and super impressive. And not a lot of people can say that they ever got down to 5% body fat. I mean, I never got down to 5% body
Oh,
fat.
right. And when it comes to these long-term goals, like, I mean, I understand it and I respect, like, it's nice to have a direction and something to strive for, but don't obsess over the goal. Just focus on getting better than you are right now, better than you were
Mhm.
before. So, like, if you're 23% body fat, the goal now is, hey, let's get it under 20. Let's crack into the teens. Let's get to 19% body fat. Just keep focusing on the next step and the next step and the next step. And eventually you will get to a point where either you're happy with the results, or you might get to the point where you realize, okay, this isn't sustainable. I got to scale it back or whatever. But just focus on getting better than you were before instead of having that I got to hit whatever target.
Yeah.
I mean, that applies to virtually anything. I mean, we could apply that to business or sports or athletics or career or, just focus on being better than you were before. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, I know in your music journey, like you could say, hey, I want to be, the greatest drummer of all time. And, I want to play in front of, sold out auditoriums and tens of thousands of people and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like,
Hmm.
will you get there? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, like, statistically, it's pretty damn unlikely. I mean, let's be honest, right? But you can always focus on getting better than you were before. And that's a goal that is realistic for everybody. And it's one that you're not going to get discouraged with. Because if
Yeah.
you have too big of a goal, like, you want to be the best, like, let's just say I got a goal. I want to be Mr. Olympia. Right. I did have that goal when I was younger, by the way, but realistically, I mean, is it going to happen? No, it's not in the cards. I just genetically don't have that. And I don't even have the desire to put in the work to become Mr. Olympia at this stage, knowing what I know now. But I can be focusing on getting better than I was before, right? You can always focus on that. And
Hmm.
when you have that as your goal, it's not going to discourage you, because if you have a goal that's too grand, sometimes people get to the point, well, if I can't be the best, then why bother doing anything? If I can't have it
Right.
all, why bother doing anything? And it's that all or nothing trap. Whereas if you always just, hey, let's just dial it up the next notch, right? Get
Hmm.
1% better, get 1% better, and always just dialing it up. You can keep that up, and it's also more attainable. Like, it's not something that this is going to take you weeks or months or years to achieve. Like, hey, I can get 1% better this week. Like, I can do
Yeah.
something today that's going to be better than I did yesterday. Like, I can always
Mm.
focus on improvement, even if it's small improvement in the short term, and that's motivating, right? Because you can see that
Yeah.
measurable progress. Whereas if you're looking at the big grand goal, the shredded six pack at 5% body fat, I mean, who knows? That could be a year or more in the future.
Right. Yeah, take it one day at a time, right?
Yeah.
Always break it down into small, manageable steps and
Mhm.
learn how to have fun along the way too. That's another thing because it's all about being in it in the long term. Like cycling, for instance, for you is something that you love to do and you look forward to doing it every day. And like I love hitting the calisthenics park every day. Like you have to learn to enjoy it. If you're always focusing on getting to that end, that finish line all the time, it's like you're losing out on the journey, and that's the most enjoyable part. So and that's something I've had to wrap my brain around on a lot of different things with drumming and being out here and restarting my music career and also just the journey of staying in shape, getting in shape, and then maintaining being in shape and everything. It's like you have to learn to enjoy it. So I think that's the most important thing. And if you're miserable because you're so fixated on the finish line all the time, then what good is it?
Yeah. And seeing you brought it up, I mean, well, we'll just clue it up with this. How have you been managing your drumming career? Because you're putting more work into it now than ever. I mean, is it still fun, or do you still have ways to make it fun, or has it tipped over to the point where it's sometimes becomes a burden? Like, how
Yeah.
do you manage? Because that's a challenge. That really is a challenge, right?
Yeah. It is, and anybody, whoever said if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life is full of it. Okay, 'cause it's not true. It's not true. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, and but I mean, I'm getting constant feedback all the time. Every time I get up on stage and play, that like I love it. This is what I love to do, and it's what keeps me coming back every time. So uh, and like I have a gig coming up. I had to learn 13 songs for a gig in 2 weeks, and I when I first got it, I looked at it and I was like, oh god, how am I going to learn all these songs and everything? And they're like not easy songs either. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to learn one song today. I'm just going to learn one song today. Just focus on that. Like I have 2 weeks. I got 14 days. If I learn one song a day, I'll get the all of them by the end of the 2 weeks. So I'm just going to focus on doing that. And sure enough, I went to the rehearsal that I had and I did great. So
Nice.
uh, yeah. So I just try to think like that. I don't try to think about the long term thing. Like I try to put myself in a position to succeed, and when I have opportunities that present themselves, I try to go and do the best that I possibly can. And
Mhm.
I feel like if you just like seize the opportunities, eventually good things will happen. So at least I'm still subscribing to that mentality. So we'll see if it pays off in the end. But like it at the very least, at least I'm learning to have more fun doing it than when I had first gotten out here.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah, so that's yeah. So like what I was just saying, right? Have fun, enjoy the process, right? Yeah, otherwise, it's like you're robbing yourself of the best part.
Sure. Yeah, I was actually having this conversation with when I dropped Harvey off to his music lesson there yesterday at School of Rock. I was chatting to one of the owners of the school, and this is what they were talking about as well. Like this is a challenge because a lot of times you get the kids going in there and they have the grand vision, especially when you're young and the world is your oyster. You're
Hmm.
not afraid to dream. A lot of them are think they see themselves, I'm a famous rock star. Like, yeah, I mean, that's maybe true. Who knows? But like you got to take it. How can you focus on enjoying the process, getting better? And
Yeah,
what definition of success is like, hey, learning a new song, playing with the other guys in your group, and just getting along and seeing those little tiny steps of progress and taking pride and satisfaction in that, doing another show and stuff versus that end goal, right? I'm
yeah,
a famous rock star, right?
hmm
Yeah,
yeah.
because it may
It
never happen.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard because human nature is like we're always striving for the
Yeah.
top of the mountain there.
And nowadays too, with social media, and this carries over with fitness as well. Like I can go on YouTube, I can go on Instagram, I can go on any social media platform, and you're going to see the best of the best, right? Like the top 1% of athletes, bodybuilders, gym goers, musicians, athletes, whatever. And a lot of times people see that and they're scrolling. Let's say I'm scrolling through Instagram and I'm searching through fitness influencers and stuff. And everybody is shredded. Everybody's got 6-pack abs. Everybody's got single digit body fat. And you kind of think, well, everybody on Instagram's got this, then that must be the standard. That must be the way it is. And you got to realize, like, you go into a real gym, very few people have 6-pack abs. Very few people even look at they work out. Very few people mention 315 for reps or whatever the hell it is, or very few people are doing muscle ups or pull ups or anything. Like, most people are very average. That's what average is. And sometimes our vision of that can get skewed because we're seeing, the best of the best on social media, and then we're comparing our day to day with someone else's highlight reel.
Right.
It's discouraging, so having that's what I like about having these real world conversations and stuff, and just to kind of cut through the shit and then put a dose of reality in there.
Yeah, man, I value them too, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I said earlier, I listen to you and no one else.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's other people who have good stuff to share, but I appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks.
You got it, man.
Right. Yeah. With that being said, man, let's clue this up. I mean, this was a great chat. Obviously, we went longer than normal. I promised an hour, and we went way over that, but hopefully you got some conversation. And if we didn't get around to answering your question, which I know we didn't, because there's a lot of questions there that we didn't answer, feel free to reach out. Like, if you want to drop me a message through Facebook or Instagram or send me an email, you can certainly do so. And in the meantime, we'll be back again. Well, I'm going to be back again next week. If you can join me, you're more than welcome to join Jeff next Friday.
Yeah, well, thanks always for the invite, Lee. I mean, I always love coming on and chatting with you, and hopefully presenting some value to your listeners and everything. So it's very enjoyable for me.
Good stuff, and I enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate the insights that you have to offer. All right, we'll clue it up, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.
Over and out.